Have you ever felt eyes on you in the dark? A prickling sensation on your skin? In West Virginia, people saw something big, dark, and winged. They called it the Moth Man. This is its story, filled with mystery and strange events.
Things you only talk about at the back of the cave.
It all started in the 1960s. The Moth Man is what some call a cryptid, an animal unknown to science, like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. Described as man-sized with huge wings like a bat or a moth. Its most chilling feature, glowing red eyes. Where did this creature come from? Nobody knows for sure. Some thought it was an undiscovered animal. Others believed it was something more, an alien, a supernatural being, or a warning. Theories are as wild as the sightings. Point Pleasant became the center of this enigma. The name Moth Man came from the newspapers. It was big, it flew, and it seemed drawn to light, like a moth but much scarier. The name stuck, spreading like wildfire. Soon everyone was talking about the Moth Man. Fear and curiosity gripped the small towns. What was this creature, and what did it want? These questions still haunt us today. The Moth Man remains a mystery. The story of Moth Man often starts in 1966, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. But were there earlier signs? Some researchers think so. They point to older legends like Native American tales of thunderbirds. Could these be connected to our Mothman? It makes you wonder. Old folklore from around the world tells similar tales. Stories of winged humanoids or dark angels, creatures that appear before disasters. These stories are often dismissed as myths. But what if they are more? Memories of something real, like Mothman. Even before Point Pleasant, strange things happened. UFO sightings were on the rise globally. Strange lights in the sky were common. People reported unusual animal behavior. A general feeling of unease was in the air. It was as if the world was holding its breath, waiting for something big to happen. These early hints are like puzzle pieces. They suggest a wider phenomenon. Mothman might not have been an isolated event. It could have been part of something bigger, waiting in the shadows, just out of sight, until one day it stepped into the light. The night of November 15, 1966. This is when the Mothman truly arrived. Two young couples were out for a drive, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Millette. Near an old abandoned TNT plant, they saw something. Two large red lights in the darkness. At first, they thought it was an animal, but then the lights moved, revealing a shape, a tall, dark shape, bigger than a man. It had wings folded against its back, and those eyes, those terrible red eyes. The couples panicked. Roger Scarberry slammed his foot on the gas. The car sped away, but the creature followed. It unfurled its massive wings and took to the air, keeping pace even as they reached high speeds, a silent winged pursuer in the night. They drove in terror, reaching speeds of 100 miles per hour. The creature stayed with them, gliding above. Finally, as they neared the town limits, it veered off, disappearing into the darkness as suddenly as it appeared. The four witnesses were shaken to their core. They drove straight to the police station. Their story was unbelievable, yet they were sincere. The Mothman era had begun. Point Pleasant would never be the same. The place where the first famous sighting occurred is important. It was the McClintock Wildlife Management Area, known as the TNT area. During World War II, it was a major munitions factory. After the war, much of it was abandoned. It became a wild, overgrown place, full of concrete domes called igloos for storing explosives. A perfect place for something to hide. The TNT area was already spooky. People said it was haunted. They told stories of strange lights and sounds. Hunters sometimes felt watched there. The abandoned buildings were decaying. Nature was reclaiming the land. It was a place where the veil between worlds felt thin. So when Mothman appeared there, it almost made sense. If such a creature existed, this was its domain. An abandoned industrial complex full of empty buildings, surrounded by dense forest and isolated, with underground tunnels for good measure. The TNT area became a focal point for Mothman hunters. People flocked there, hoping for a glimpse. They found strange tracks sometimes. They heard odd noises like screeches or metallic whines. The area held its secrets close, the perfect lair for a creature like Moth Man. After the Scarberry and Mallet sighting, the floodgates opened. Reports poured in from Point Pleasant. Dozens claimed to see the Moth Man. The descriptions were strikingly similar. A tall, grayish figure, 7 to 8 feet, huge wings, and those hypnotic, glowing red eyes. Newspaper reporters had a field day. Headlines screamed about the bird monster. The Mothman became a local celebrity, albeit a feared one. Sightings happened at all times of day and night. People saw it flying over their cars on lonely roads. They saw it perched on buildings or trees. Some even claimed it chased them. The fear was real, and it was spreading. Not all sightings were identical, of course. Some details varied, as they always do. The exact size of the wings, for example. The color of the creature, sometimes gray, sometimes brownish. But the core elements remained consistent. The height, the headless appearance, its eyes in its chest. The silent flight, the red, mesmerizing eyes. These details painted a chilling portrait. A portrait of something truly out of the ordinary. The sheer number of witnesses was compelling. They were farmers, workers, housewives, teenagers. Even some local officials reported strange things. Something very unusual was happening in Point Pleasant, and everyone was looking up, wondering. The Mothman was not the only strange thing in Point Pleasant. UFO sightings increased dramatically during this period. People saw strange lights in the sky, orange globes, bright disks, silent and fast. Sometimes these lights appeared near Mothman sightings. Were they connected? It seemed very likely. Then came the Men in Black, or MIBs. Mysterious men dressed in dark suits. They visited witnesses of UFOs and Mothmen. They asked strange questions, often seemed disoriented. Their skin sometimes looked odd, their speech stilted. They warned people not to talk about what they saw. Who were these men? Government agents? Or something else entirely? Their presence added another layer of fear and confusion. They seemed to want to suppress the truth. I interviewed many people who encountered these MIBs. Their stories were bizarre yet consistent. The MIBs knew things they shouldn't. They appeared and disappeared mysteriously. They drove black, official-looking cars, often old models. It was as if they were not quite human. Their connection to the Mothman and UFO phenomena was undeniable. They were part of the same unsettling puzzle, a puzzle that grew more complex with each new report. The Mothman phenomenon was not just about a creature, it was a whirlwind of interconnected events, a window to another reality or another dimension. With so many sightings, patterns began to emerge. The creature was consistently described as tall, usually around 7 feet. Its wingspan was estimated at 10 to 15 feet. The wings were leathery, like a bat's. It didn't seem to flap them much when flying, more like gliding. This lack of sound was particularly eerie. The most striking feature was its eyes, large, round, and glowing red. Witnesses said the eyes were hypnotic. They seemed to be set high in the torso, giving the creature a headless appearance. Its body was often described as gray or dark brown. No one ever reported seeing a distinct head or beak. What about evidence? That was harder to come by. There were no clear photographs, no captured specimens. Some large, unusual footprints were found, but they were often inconclusive. The creature was elusive, a master of avoiding capture. Theories about its nature were plentiful. Some said it was a mutated bird. Others leaned towards the supernatural. The truth remained just out of reach, shrouded in mystery. As the Mothman sightings continued, something else began. A wave of strange premonitions swept through Point Pleasant. People started having vivid, disturbing dreams. They foresaw disasters, accidents, and death. It was as if the air itself was charged with foreboding. Was the Mothman a cause or a warning? This question troubled many. People who had never been psychic before suddenly were seeing the future. Often these visions involved water or darkness or the collapse of structures. The Mothman itself was often seen as an omen. Its appearance seemed to herald trouble. Where the Mothman flew, misfortune often followed. Many cultures have stories of deathbirds or similar creatures. The Mothman fit this ancient archetype perfectly. Its red eyes, its silent flight, its terrifying form. The connection between the creature and these dark feelings grew stronger. What was this disaster everyone seemed to sense? The fear was palpable, a heavy blanket over the Ohio Valley. The premonitions and the fear reached a peak in late 1967. Then, on December 15, 1967, disaster struck. The Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio collapsed. It happened during evening rush hour. The bridge was packed with cars and trucks. In a matter of moments, the entire structure plunged. 46 people lost their lives that day. It was a horrific tragedy for the small community. The Silver Bridge had been a landmark since 1928. Investigations later found a critical flaw, a tiny crack in one of the eye bars. This single flaw led to a catastrophic chain reaction. After the bridge collapse, the Moth Man sightings largely stopped. It was as if the creature's purpose had been fulfilled. Many people connected the Moth Man directly to the tragedy. They believed it had been trying to warn them. Others saw it as a more sinister figure, perhaps even a cause of the disaster. The timing was undeniably eerie. 13 months of intense Moth Man activity, then a major disaster. The Silver Bridge collapse became inextricably linked with the Moth Man. After the Silver Bridge fell, Point Pleasant changed. The intense fear and excitement slowly faded, but the memory of the Moth Man did not. It became a legend, a part of local folklore, and its fame spread far beyond West Virginia. Books were written, documentaries were made. The story of the winged creature with red eyes captivated people. It still does, decades later. Why does this cryptid hold such power over us? What makes the Moth Man so unforgettable? Perhaps it's the combination of elements. A terrifying monster, yes, but also the UFOs, the men in black, the premonitions, the tragic disaster. It's a story that has everything: mystery, fear, human drama, and the unknown. Point Pleasant itself has embraced its strange history. There's a Moth Man museum now, and an annual Moth Man festival. People come from all over the world to visit the TNT area, to hear the stories. The Moth Man has become a cultural icon, a symbol of high strangeness. The creature may be gone, but its shadow lingers. So, what was the Moth Man? An undiscovered animal? An alien? A psychic projection? We still don't have the definitive answer, and maybe that's the point. Some mysteries are not meant to be solved.